Absolutely. Okay, on the Michael Jackson kids, first of all, Prince has been doing some great things. He was at an L.A. Boys and Girls Club, and he spoke to Extra, and I want you to hear them. Get your take on the other side.
While he was alive, you remember Michael Jackson hid his children from public view, going so far as to have them wear masks. Well, Prince, who is now 19 and a college student, spoke with Alex Hutchins at an event for Heal Los Angeles, a student organization he co-founded that honors Michael's philanthropic legacy, and it helps children in need.
Your dad was a very philanthropic man. How you growing up as a kid has shaped who you are now to be doing something like this?
Basically, when we were growing up, my dad would always talk about how he would always show us what he was doing to help the kids and to help the world.
Following in his father's footsteps, Prince started his own charity at Loyola Marymount University, where he's currently a sophomore. You're behind the scenes a lot. It seems like you're not doing this for attention.
I don't really like to do this for attention. I was telling a couple of my friends that when I was coming over here, I don't know how to act because I rather just do it, not for anything, not for the thanks or the gratitude, just because I enjoy doing it. But it is hard finding a balance in between because I can use the name to bring attention to it and the family's name and everything, but I also just like to do it just because.
With the Jackson name and a wisdom well beyond his 19 years, Prince turned the Boys and Girls Club into a winter wonderland. Santa was there, as were Mickey and Minnie dressed in their Christmas best. Children wrote a wish list for what they wanted, and one letter especially touched Prince.
So he says, I know you are asking me what I would like for Christmas, but I would like to ask for something for someone else. My mom. She's had the same bed mattress for about 8 years now, and I would just like to ask for a new bed for her. She cleans houses for a living, and she's always out during the day from 6 to 7 p.m. She always comes home in pain and still manages to take care of me and my 2 sisters. So all I want this Christmas is a bed for my mom.
And a bed she got. The event reminded Prince of one of his favorite Christmas memories with his dad at a children's hospital.
I don't know if he bought out a toy store, but it was a lot of toys. And he brought in like basically 2 sleighs filled with toys.
Sleighs?
Yeah, like actual sleighs.
Cool.
And when he walked in, all of the kids, the whole room lit up and everybody was happy. There was music. He was taking pictures, telling jokes with the kids, and we were there for a long time.
Okay, Tom, well, you hear that, and you hear Prince. What do you make of Prince Jackson taking in the footsteps of his dad, Michael Jackson?
Well, I think it's just wonderful. You know, Michael was one of the most generous, kind-hearted, giving people I've ever encountered in my lifetime. As I'm sure many people listening remember, he had a rule that when he went on a foreign tour that he would visit a children's hospital wherever he performed. And he very silently and quietly, you know, paid bills for kids who were disabled and, you know, couldn't pay their doctor's bills, couldn't pay their hospital bills. He went around the world doing that kind of thing, not publicizing it. And he was a great humanitarian and a very, very kind-hearted person. And it's wonderful to see that his son, who is a very impressive young man based on everything I see and hear, is trying to follow in his footsteps. We live in a time where people are becoming increasingly selfish, in my opinion. You know, the cost of living, the cost of education, what you see on the internet, you know, your ability to get information so quickly about what other people are doing with their lives. I think the end result is society is getting increasingly selfish, and we need good people to, you know, extend themselves to those less fortunate and help those who don't have the resources or the talents or the opportunities or the luck that many of us have had. And I'm very impressed with what you just played about Prince and very happy that he's following in his dad's footsteps. He was a really wonderful guy.
And you had the opportunity, granted at a younger age, to meet Prince. What was your take when you met Prince?
You know, I knew Michael during the lowest point of his life. It was a nightmare for him. He lived in fear of spending the rest of his life in prison. He was forced to sit in a courtroom 5 days a week and hear prosecutors say that he organized a conspiracy to abduct children, falsely imprison a family. that he would give a cancer-stricken child alcohol to set the child up to be molested. I mean, he had to sit there 5 days a week for almost 5 months listening to these horrible, horrible accusations, and wondering if he'd ever be free when the jury came back with a verdict, if they did. So I knew him during an awful time, and I think he was trying to shield his children from what was going on as much as possible. But when I would go to Neverland, these 3 children just adored their father. They were just hanging all over him. And there were a couple of times I could tell, that they sensed something was wrong. Something was very, very troubling. And I could see a worried look in their eye when they would hug him and follow him into his room. And they were children. They were, they could sense something was off. But I remember verdict day, after we got a not guilty on all 14, charges, 10 felonies, 4 misdemeanors. I went to Neverland. I skipped the press conference I could have attended, and I went to Neverland to see how Michael was. And his children, when they realized who I was and their father told them what I had done, they all came running, and I hugged all 3 of them, and it was just a joyous, wonderful day.